coordinates to 01 and 02. Commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Been a couple weeks, Andrew, since we've recorded
Yeah.
a podcast. We've been busy little bees. We had a trip that we'll talk about at the end of this podcast. A lot of fun, I think. I did forget to put the slider up when I started the intro, so it may have faded in a little late, but you know what? We're not starting over. So, sorry, listeners.
Sorry.
But anyway. Yeah, it's been a fun couple of weeks. And it's good to be back. Good to be back, watching movies of questionable quality and recording podcasts about them.
Yep.
What are we talking about today, Andrew?
Well, today we are talking about none other than Ultraman R the movie.
I believe it's
Rube.
vocalized as Ultraman Rube.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Ultraman Rube, the movie, the Crystal of Bonds.
Sort of. Ultraman Rube the movie. Select the Crystal of Bond. Whatever that means. And
That's a title.
some alternate titles. Obviously, I've seen this shortened to just Ultraman Rube the movie, and I also saw it translated as Ultraman Rube the movie. Select the Crystal of Our Bond.
That makes a lot more sense.
A little more, Englishy, but grammatically correct. But anyway, you want my vast amount of production trivia I conjured up for this movie?
What is it?
There was none, really, of note. I did find that this was the final Ultraman film release in the Heisei era. So the last movie to be released, Ultraman movie to be released before Emperor Heisei passed away. Did he pass away or abdicate the throne? I mean, it's all ceremonial. But anyway, now we're in the Reiwa area. It's Emperor Reiwa now. Anyway, box office information, I also have a lot of that, which means none. I just have that it was released on March 8th of 2019.
Wow, you really...
Hey, there's just nothing out there. I looked on several wikis.
Except for your plot summary that is very extensive.
It's amazing how much plot they can cram into a 70-minute movie, 30 minutes of which is just kaiju beating the crap out of each other. But I got all the details. But anyway, first of all, though, let's listen to a trailer, and then we'll come back and talk about the cast and the crew, the plot summary, and all of that stuff. So let me turn the slider up on the Bluetooth volume, and let's get into this trailer. So see you in a bit.
君の夢は何だ久しぶりだなカツニ俺色に染め上げろ君ウルトラマンなのか君たち私はウルトラマントレニア君の願いを叶えにやってきた踏み潰せお前が黒幕か君はウルトラマンか湊克美かカツニも自分の夢叶えてよ
家族の絆はもっと大きいものなんです
愚かな人間どもだこの声が聞こえないか決して絆を諦めるな俺色に染め上げろ君たちの言う絆は簡単に壊れる痛め劇場版ウルトラマンルーブセレクト絆のクリスタル絆を諦めないそれが家族
How dramatic. Anyway, did you hear that trailer, Andrew?
I heard that trailer.
So epic, wasn't it?
So epic.
I love the epic music they have. Anyway, you ready for a cast and crew?
Always.
All right. Well, this was directed by Masayoshi Takasue, Written by Takeo Nakano. I think he's in a lot of these. Music by Yasuharu Takanashi. Effects by Makoto Kamiya. And starring Yuya Hirata, Ryosuke Koike, Arisa Sonohara, Kaori Manabe, Kinojo Yamazaki, Yukito Nishi, Ayane Kinoshita, Hideko Hara, and Tetsuomi Hamada. And the plot summary, as Andrew mentioned, is a little lengthy, but here it goes. 1 year after the events of the show, the Minato family is beginning to grow apart. Isami is planning on going to LA to study abroad, while Asahi is studying to go to nursing school. Katsumi, however, doesn't have a dream beyond running the family shop. Katsumi goes to visit an old childhood friend, Toi, who had dreams of developing video games. When he arrives at Toei's family home, Katsumi is shocked to find that Toei has given up on his dreams and now lives as a recluse playing video games in his room. Katsumi is called back by his father so that the family can spy on Asahi, who they suspect of going to meet a boy. The boy turns out to be Riku Asakura, otherwise known as Ultraman G. Riku is searching for Pega, who was taken by the evil Ultraman Tragiar when he pulled Riku and Pega out of their dimension and placed them in this one. Bimstar and Gankyu appear, with Gankyu having Pega trapped inside his giant eye. Jeed, Rosso, and Blue fight the kaiju and manage to rescue Pega before destroying the invading monsters. Katsumi, Isami, and Riku all learn that they are fellow Ultramen. Tragiar visits Toei and gives him the power to transform into Snake Darkness, a kaiju of Toei's design. Katsumi goes to visit Toei but is turned away. Tragiar then appears to Katsumi and offers him a chance to be a hero and go save a clan of Pigmons from Mecha Gamora on an alien planet. Tragiar transports Katsumi to this planet where, as Ultraman Rosso, Katsumi seemingly defeats the Mecha Kaiju and saves the Pigmons. However, it is a trap as Toei appears and transforms into Snake Darkness, defeating Rosso. Katsumi is now trapped on this alien world without the ability to transform. Back on Earth, Snake Darkness attacks Ayaka City. Blue and Jeed go to battle, but are unable to defeat the kaiju. They retreat and try to find Katsumi. Using Pega's dark dimension, they are able to communicate with Katsumi and pinpoint his location. The Minato's mother uses her particle collider, or whatever it was called, to teleport Katsumi back, and together the family, along with Riku, go back and face Snake Darkness and Tragiar. A massive battle ensues, but they are still outmatched. Asahi transforms into Ultra Woman Grigio, before the three siblings combine into Ultraman Groob, with a G this time. Groob and Jeed use their newfound powers to defeat Tragiar and Snake Darkness, and Toei is returned to human form. In the closing scenes, Riku returns to his dimension. Katsumi decides that his passion is design, and he will go study under his father's friend in Milan, and the two brothers part ways to pursue their dreams as credits roll. In the after credit scene, Tragiar promises the audience that we will meet again as the screen fades to black. More or less?
More or less.
All right. Well,
There's more than less.
More than less. But yeah. So, we've been a couple months since we've recorded an episode over an Ultraman movie.
Yeah, we got stuck in the Jurassic Park World franchise.
Yeah. We had a little side quest into dinosaurs there, but we're back. I do think this movie might benefit from having a bit of a break since that last, at least in, from our viewing experience of having a break since that last Ultraman movie, because they were getting pretty repetitive. But this one, how did you feel about Ultraman Rube the show?
I enjoyed the show. I thought it was a decently crafted world, and all the characters, I liked them and everything.
Yeah, I liked Ultraman Rube the show. I mean, it was, it's a modern Ultraman movie or show with all the trappings that come with that, but
it's one of the ones that, really emphasize their transformation sequences.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But it had a bit of a unique structure. Instead of focusing on, a
singular
Science Patrol's style squad, it focused on a family unit. And yes, instead of a singular Ultraman, we had two Ultramen who were equally a focus in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, it actually had, I thought, I mean, I don't know if I loved where they ended up going with it, but it had a decent plot twist, like in the middle of the show, where it was like they had this little sister that was always running around, and then like in the middle of the show, they were like, "Wait a second, she's not in any of our old family photos. What is this?" And she turns out to be an alien who, like, I don't know, forced her way into the family or something.
Yeah.
But then they adopted her as their real daughter anyway, and there was a whole plot about their mom had gone missing, I think, messing with their teleportation thing and had tied into how they turned into Ultraman. I don't remember all the details, but they got their mom back and blah, 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 blah. But no, I thought the brothers, I mean, obviously it's an Ultraman show. It's a kid's show, and I'm not going to ever accuse these of having stellar acting or, super deep writing, but it had a pretty good dynamic, I think, with the brothers and with the family as a whole. And I thought it was an enjoyable modern era Ultraman show.
Dad was just a goofy dad character.
Yeah. And one thing I appreciate about this movie is that it doesn't have a 15-minute recap at the beginning.
It just goes straight
it
into
dumps you right into literally the middle of the movie. We start in a fight where Rosso Katsumi is like upside down and with his head stuck in a building. And then we have to do like, how did we get here? And we rewind back, and we'll get back to that scene in about 15 minutes. But but yeah, so the movie, that, like I said, the basic setup is, and right away you can tell that they've, we've complained about several of these Ultraman movies where they really didn't care about setting up any character arcs or, focus that hard on themes. A lot of them are just basically, there's some setup here to get us to a big kaiju fight, and then there's about 40 minutes of a big kaiju fight. And this one is still short. It's gracefully 71 minutes or whatever, so it's not going to overstay its welcome or anything. But
they pack a lot of story into it.
But they pack a lot. And you can tell right away they're more concerned about character arcs and themes in this movie. Now, they're going to have one theme and they're going to hammer it right over your head, which is the importance of family. But,
and dreams.
And having dreams, yeah. But, and balancing, pursuing your dream with, sticking with your family, whatever. But yeah, we're going to start out with there's trouble in this family, and not like major trouble, but in the fact that, Isami has a big dream. He wants, he's studying space at college or whatever, and there's a university in California that they leave unnamed, undisclosed, probably Berkeley, but that's interested in his research, and so he's gonna go study abroad in California.
In the United States.
In the United States of America. And Asahi, she is studying to get into, I'm assuming high school, but like a nursing program in high school or something.
Yeah.
And so she's got her dreams, and she's out, and she's very popular with all the boys and girls and everything. And
that whole plot.
There's going to be a whole plot about her. They think she has a boyfriend or whatever, and
they go undercover and all that.
We'll get to that here in a second. So yeah, but now Katsumi's feeling a bit left out because he doesn't. When he was younger, he had a big dream of playing collegiate baseball. Even was scouted by college scouts. But he gave up that dream because his father needed help running the family clothes store or whatever.
Yeah.
And
he even had the baseball with
Dream, yeah. There's a flashback where we first meet his friend Toi. I've struggled pronouncing it. I think I pronounced it 3 or 4 different ways in that plot summary, but
Toi.
Toi. Toi. I would be an E sound. Toi, who had dreams of being a video game developer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to go visit this friend of his, and he finds Toei still living at his mom's house. Which, I mean, to be fair, I think they all still live with his dad at the shop, but living at his mom's house, and
he's in emo face.
He's gone emo. He's got like the long hair and the gaudy jewelry, and he just, hides in his room and plays video games all day. He's living a very sad existence. He, I guess, went to work for like a game developer, but they had him doing the grunt work stuff, and he didn't want to be doing that.
No, he was just a desk worker.
Yeah. So he gave up because he didn't want to stick through the hardships, and so now this is what he's doing. And of course, his mom's giving him a hard time. She's like, "Oh, I hear your brother's going to L.A. to study or whatever," and she's like, "I wish." I wish Toei would get out of his room and do something else or whatever. But so all that happens, and it kind of leaves Katsumi with this like weird experience, this weird feeling. But he's called back to the family because his dad's got him. Yeah, they're dressed up like in camo and everything with walkie-talkies, and they're gonna go spy on Asahi.
He keeps calling everybody Falcon,
Falcon 1. There's a whole
One.
joke about like everyone's code name is Falcon 1. So how do they know the I think there's an old Family Guy bit that's very similar to this, but how do they know who's who if everybody's got the same code name? But
and then he's like, we're standing right next to each other. Why do we need these
and
walkie-talkies?
you get the wide shot, and yeah, they're all right next to each other. I mean, I will say the comedy in this, I mean, again, it's obviously aimed at children and very basic, but it functions pretty well. And Asami is going and she's meeting a boy, but wouldn't you know it, we got to have our big, feature film crossover event. The boy is actually Riku from our last Ultraman review, Ultraman G'd.
Yeah.
And he has been unceremoniously like plucked from his universe and dropped into this universe. Don't you hate that when
And he's
that
looking
happens?
for his friend.
Pega, the little
Pega.
shadow monster thing. And we'll figure out Pega was actually trapped inside a kaiju because pretty quickly they're all introduced, and then two kaiju show up.
Yep.
Bimstar and Gankyu. Classic Ultraman kaiju.
Oh, yeah.
And Gankyu has like Pega trapped in his eyeball or dimensional eyeball or something. And there's a bit where like, they transform to Ultraman. They all run to the same spot to like hide and transform. And they're like, oh, sorry, what are you doing here? And then they like run away and do it again. And so they transform and, they defeat the kaiju and they rescue Pega and do all that. And then they're going to admit that they're Ultramen and all that. And then they're going to go back to the Minato family home. And, again, a theme that we kind of hammered in the last two, I think, shows where Riku is going to be like, oh, it must be nice to have a family because, the family's all sitting around bickering about the noodle.
My father was an interdimensional criminal.
My father was an evil Ultraman that tried to destroy my universe.
They tried to destroy my universe and, destroy many others.
Yeah, but we have that. And again, we're going to hammer the theme home of family and over is where we're like, Riku, like, he recognizes, like, even though they're bickering, like, how nice it would be to just have a normal family, even if, Asami and Isumi and Katsumi don't really appreciate it all the time. And I feel like we hit this theme really hard in the show, Rube, but, we got to hit it again. But anyway, so, yeah, they're all going about, and Katsumi is going to go back and visit Toei again. And by this point, Toei has been visited by Tragiar, who is going to be our villain for this movie. Tragiar, I think because I have a bad memory, and I was like, I think this guy's in another show, and you Googled it, and he was, in fact, he's the main villain of the next show that we'll be talking about the movie for, which was
Taiga.
Taiga. I think it's pronounced Taiga, but whatever.
There's a Taiga, though.
There is another Ultraman called Taiga, I think, that is a separate Ultraman, not to be confused.
Taiga.
I think Taiga was the one wasn't he the one in that movie where like they all went to that planet that everyone was missing and was like the sequel to Ultraman Dino or whatever. But anyway, I'm getting off track. Anyway, Tragiar will be the main villain in the next Ultraman show, but he's introduced here and he's kind of like I think he's trying to kind of like recreate like the juggler personality, but in an Ultraman body where he's very like, evil and mustache twirling but he's going to come through Toei's computer and basically say, do you want to stop being a loser and I can
give you all your dreams.
Yeah. And basically bring this kaiju called Snake Darkness to life. Kind of a stupid name, but whatever.
Snake Darkness.
And then Katsumi's going to come visit him again, and he won't even open the door for Katsumi, and Katsumi's like all upset and crying. And
well, he does open the door.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, remember he opens the door but doesn't come out.
Oh yeah, and he just screams at him something about
go away.
And Katsumi's all sad, and
Katsumi leaves the baseball with Dream on it.
Yeah, that baseball keeps coming back like a.
I know he keeps trying to give that baseball away.
Yeah, and it just keeps coming back. But Katsumi like goes away crying, and he goes down like a dark tunnel or whatever, and he's like kicking cans across the road or whatever and having a little hissy fit. And he's emotionally weak. So this is when Traeger comes to him in a TV that's very conveniently positioned. And it's like, hey, you want to be your own hero and, you know, live your own life? Well, why don't you go save this random clan of Pigmons on this random planet from this mecha Gamora? And Katsumi and his infinite stupidity is like, yeah, sure. Sounds
Why
like a
not?
good deal. This is not sketchy at all. And he goes and
He defeats
Mecha Gamora pretty easily, but it's a trap because Toei shows up and is like, you were an Ultraman this whole time. You said you didn't have nothing, but you actually have everything. And then he gets the red Sith eyes or whatever and transforms into Snake Darkness and defeats Rosso. And for reasons, Katsumi is now unable to transform into Ultraman because he can't fly off this planet because that would be too easy. So,
not like in every other Ultraman in existence.
and any other Ultraman, like they, you know, snap their fingers in the wrong place and they create a dimensional rift, but kind of like Star Trek. But
if you're Ultraman Zero, you can just create portals and interdimensional portals in time.
yeah, but anyway, so he gets trapped on this planet with the Pigmons and he's kind of wandering the savannah. I don't know. It's kind of like it's not quite a desert, but it's not quite a savannah. It's kind of whatever the in between is. I forget my geography, but anyway, so he's trapped on this planet, and then back on Earth, Toei, you know, comes as Snake Darkness and destroying Ayaka City, and Jeed and Blue show up, and like they go into a fight, and like Traeger is showing this to Katsumi, and he shows them up to the point where it looks like Blue and G defeat Snake Darkness, and then he like turns off the feed and goes away. But so now Katsumi even feels worse about himself. But actually, they didn't defeat him. He's still alive and well.
And then their sister comes along and transforms into a hair monster.
She transforms into a monster. Yeah, she's got the thing from her friend that their friend left behind. And she transforms into a kaiju, but even the three of them together are no match, and they get defeated. And they go around looking for Katsumi and can't find him. And
then their extremely smart mom.
Then their mom's like, I'm broadcasting this radio signal globally. He's not answering. He must be on an alien planet. And then
they pinpoint the exact location.
They use Pega's like dark dimension or whatever to like broadcast it across the universe, and they get the signal to him, and he responds because the Pigmons are so kind. They brought his radio back to him, and
he saved them.
And they pinpoint his location, and she uses her like black hole gun thing or whatever to teleport him back. And now they're like, you know, you get the big like poster shot where him and his brother like grab hands, and then Isami pulls him through the portal or whatever. And now they're gonna go as a family plus Riku to go fight Snake Darkness. And they go and they all transform, and then Traeger appears, and the last half hour of this movie is just a big fight. And you know, at first they get their butts beat, and then Asami, or what's her name? Asahi transforms. She was a kaiju, and then she like gets a vision from her dead friend from the last show or whatever, and she becomes an Ultra Woman Grigio, and absolutely gets on my nerves. She has like the mannerisms of a Teletubby. And
she acts like a Sailor Moon,
like a Sailor Moon type character. Yeah, it is super annoying. But she like re-energizes.
She's like the healer.
Yeah, she's like a healer. Like her special move is healing. She re-energizes the other Ultraman, and then her and Blue and Rosso combine, because earlier Blue and Rosso had combined into like the form they had in the show, Ultraman Rube or whatever. And now they combine into there's three of them, and they combine into Ultraman Groob. Because Grigio, so they put a G on the front of it.
Get it?
Yeah, and so now and G turns into like his
Final form.
final form,
That's
his
I think what.
his Ultraman King form or whatever.
No. It's his final form.
Oh, his form after that, Ultraman G Primitive or
No, final.
Final. Yeah, whatever.
It's
It's literally called
final
Final, isn't it?
form,
Yeah,
basically.
with his big staff, and they get into they battle the kaiju, and there's a lot of fighting, and eventually they win, and Treyarch retreats, and
What? There's that whole scene where his mom comes and all that.
and his mom, Toy's mom shows up, and she's like, she almost talks him down, and then Treyarch like mind controls him, and
like pumps him full of darkness.
yeah, and then the Minato mom and dad come and put her in their minivan and drive away or whatever.
Yeah.
There was that whole bit. But yeah, so anyway, they fight for a long time. They end up defeating Treyarch, blowing up Snake Darkness, which luckily doesn't kill. Toy just returns him to human form, and his mom comes and they have their big hug or whatever. And Katsumi gives some speech about not giving up on your dreams or whatever.
And then hands him the baseball with dream
that
on it
damn
again.
baseball comes back and hands him to him. Like, you're gonna take this damn baseball. Yeah, and it's all sweet and everything.
Mhm.
And then we get our little closing coda where there was a little doodle that Katsumi had drawn on a notepad earlier,
Yeah.
and like his dad had like taken it from him and turned it into a T-shirt.
And
And
it's really popular.
so now
t-shirt
Katsumi decides that he wants to pursue
design.
So his dad says, I have a friend in Milan who specializes in design if you want to go study under him. And so he's like, yeah. So now he's found his dream. He finally changed his shirts. Like, I made the joke, and I make the joke throughout the series. Like, they all wear the same shirt in every scene. I'm like, dude.
It's like under their clothes they're wearing previously. Like, they ripped off their clothes and they're just their original suits underneath. I'm like,
but he's got a new shirt on this time. And but anyway, so he's gonna go study, and then they send Riku back to his own dimension.
yeah.
And Riku and Pega. And then the final scene is the brothers are like walking down the street, and they like share one final handshake and then walk their separate ways. Even though I was like, they're both going to the airport. Why are they walking in different directions? But okay, whatever. Why didn't they just drive them to the airport and making them walk? But whatever. It's for the moment. It's for dramatic effect. I get
Dramatic effect.
And then at the end of the credits, we see Treyarch kind of like making fun of the audience for still watching, and he's like, I'll see you again, and flies away. But yeah, that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think I really appreciate this movie does make a concerted effort to have character arcs. We start out with the family growing apart, and Katsumi in particular is really struggling with it because he feels like he's left out. He's the one that doesn't have a dream that he's pursuing. And then as the movie goes along, he's struggling with that. And that's also reflected in Toei, who is his friend that totally abandoned his dream and turns evil. And Will Katsumi kind of go down that path. But of course, the movie's about the power of the family bond, and his family kind of pulls him out of that. And he learns that, first of all, you got to love your family and trust in your family. And also, like, he finds his own passion. That's his character arc. And he's going to go pursue it. And, and there's a bunch of themes about family that they hit you over and over. There's literally several times where they scream out the power of family bond, blah, blah, blah.
Family bond.
And then you have Riku here, who is also, kind of reinforcing that because he didn't have a family. Now, I will say, like, I think you could cut Riku out of this movie and Ultraman G out of this movie and not really lose anything. In fact, the script would probably be tighter. I know they want to use these feature films as like big crossover events and stuff, but kind of an unnecessary character in a movie, a 70-minute movie that's already crowded with characters, but it is what it is. But yeah, I really, especially in the first half. Now in the second half, as we kind of get into the fighting and stuff, and I'm like, okay, they're really hitting us over the head with this theme over and over. And when Grigio showed up, kind of got on my nerves, and my patience with the movie kind of runs thin a little bit. But no, I think just like they had a pretty good chemistry in the show. I think the family has pretty good chemistry in this movie, and it's a more than functional Ultraman adventure.
Yep.
So that's kind of my basic thoughts. You agree?
I agree with everything.
I know that you do. But you want to get into some creature design?
Sure.
All right. Well, we see Bimstar and Gankyu as some kaiju, and they look like their classic selves. We see Mecha Gamora. Looks like Mecha Gamora. Gamora just bigger and bulkier and more robotized.
Yeah.
We see some Pigmons. They, like a family of Pigmons. They're all, look like Pigmons. They have a little bit slightly different features and everything, but
Yeah.
always
Some
love.
are darker, some are lighter.
Some are taller, some are shorter, but you gotta love seeing some Pigmons.
I love Pigmon.
Ultraman, we have Ultraman Rosso. He's Ultraman Rosso in blue. Ultraman Rosso is, he's got the kind of the red fiery design.
He's red.
He's red. I think he's got some like flame decals on his head or something, and they change forms and stuff, but that's just like basic form. And
blue.
And then Blue, who is, you wouldn't it, Blue. And kind of, Rosso's kind of like the fire Ultraman. Blue's kind of like the water Ultraman. And Rosso, he was a baseball player, so he throws a lot of projectiles, and Blue, like, I don't know, shoots a lot of beams or whatever. But
Yeah.
Jeed's back. We go through all the Jeed transformations, and
There's a lot. I forgot how many
G's got a lot, but he's got the classic G design with like the Belial eyes, but they're blue, and like G. We get Tragiar. Tragiar is kind of a traditional Ultraman style, but he's got like a purple like mask thing on his face, and got kind of like a golden
greenish,
green. Was there
was it green?
Gold and purple like design thing going on. I don't know, but he also like goes through like the internet or something, and a lot of purple smoke and stuff around him. But
we were both wrong. It was blue, silver, and gold.
Yeah, but anyway, and like I say, he's kind of got the mannerisms of Juggler. Like I think in the Taiga show especially, they'll try to turn him into kind of like a mime that talks kind of.
Yeah.
Then we got Snake Darkness, who's this big bulky kaiju that
has a snake tail.
Got a snake tail kind of sort of thing, and he's
he's
kind of like white gray, and he's a big kaiju thing.
He's a big kaiju.
He looks fine.
He looks all right.
And then we get Ultraman. We do see Ultraman Rube, where they combine into Ultraman Rube, which you saw on the show, and just looks kind of like the two of them with some color schemes combined.
And then we get
Groob, who is got like 3 colors on him, his head crest, and
he's Groob.
He's Groob. He's CGI.
He's CGI.
Transitioning into effects. Most of the show is them with practical suits, practical city sets, which I appreciate all of that. And I think all of it looks pretty good. I mean, some of the suits look a little better than others, and some of the shoulder pads are not glued on very well, but that's okay. But yeah, I think all that stuff looks pretty good. I always appreciate the practical effects, but I believe that Groob is entirely CGI. I don't know if they ran out of time and or money to make a new Ultraman suit, or if this was just a total creative choice, artistic choice. The CGI, I mean, it's better than what they've done in some past work, but still not great. I would preferred them to just have made a suit and kept it all practical. But there's a big scene of him and Tragiar like flying through the air and flying through buildings and crushing a lot of stuff. And they try to kind of merge the CGI with the practical model sets and stuff. Mixed success.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to talk about Grigio. She's like a short Ultra woman, like gold and silver in color. And she throws little like healing plasma balls or something. And there's some other kaiju that she turns into, whatever kaiju that was. But yeah, effects overall, I mean, like I said, when it's practical, it works. When it's CGI, it's kind of whatever. But mostly practical for most of the movie. And this model city sets and everything are good. Sometimes you can really tell they're on a stage, but that's probably true of all of these. But and then score, I like the theme song, the Russo theme song, or the Rube theme song from the show, the main theme of the show. And the rest of the scores are pretty typical Ultraman score. I think it functions perfectly well. And I think the
Probably will.
end, the pop song at the end is not bad.
It's not terrible.
Not bad at all.
And you know, they only play the original theme song like once in this whole movie.
I know, like, and when they finally start winning the fight at the end.
Yeah.
But,
Unlike some movies
they
that
play it
just
over and over.
over and over.
Yeah, they restrain themselves. But yeah, so anyway, you want to get some final thoughts?
Why not?
We'll go for it.
Well, you know, this movie, I enjoyed this movie for the most part, you know. I like Ultraman Blue and Rosso, and I like the characters with them. I think they did a good job, just like I thought they did a good job in the show. And, you know, God loves some Geed. Some Geed.
Love Jeed.
Geed.
Jeed. It's pronounced Jeed.
That's what I meant.
I know. I go back and forth.
I think you said like 4 different versions of it this whole podcast.
It's G. That's how they say it in the show.
Geed. And, you know, that score, I like the score, and it's actually a pretty good Ultraman score. You know, basically just like any Ultraman score, but, you know, I enjoy it. It works perfectly with the movie, you know. The acting, like I said, it's really good acting, you know, for any good Ultraman movie, you know. And the effects are better than what they've been in the past,
Yeah.
but still, practical effects are better than the
Then the
digital
CGI.
CGI.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I'll give this movie, I'll give it a C+.
Yeah, listen, I think I actually really appreciate this movie. Like I said, I felt like those last few that we had watched had really, you know, they had just been all about just like the setup to get the monsters and the Ultramen together and then get them into a big battle royale. This one actually tries to set up some character struggles and themes and ultimately some character arcs and you know, they're basic themes. They're, you know, very kid friendly themes about the power, the importance of family and chasing your dreams, and they really hit you over the head with those themes. And they're not themes that Ultraman has not traversed before by any means, but I think they really try to do that with this cast, you know, and of the family unit that the show is based around. And I think they do a good job with that, and I really appreciate that. You know, I also really appreciate, as always, the practical effects that, you know, they use throughout most of the show. Now, you know, obviously it's got the same issues as most of these modern Ultraman movies. It's, you know, very silly in parts. The CGI when it does show up isn't very good. Ultra Woman Grigio gets on my nerves like immediately. I think Riku, you know, I don't mind his presence in this movie, but I definitely don't think it's necessary. And with a 70-minute movie with as many characters as this movie has, it probably would have been tighter if they'd have left Riku and Pega out of this movie. But I know they want to do their crossover events and stuff. But and then the villains, you know, Treyarch, I don't think we really get enough of him to really understand him as a villain. They really try to focus on the tragedy of Toei and tie that into the, you know, the dream theme or whatever, of chasing your dreams or whatever. And they do a pretty good job of that. But we'll get to know more about Treyarch in the future. Don't worry. But but yeah, no, I overall, you know, maybe this movie's held by the fact that we took a 2-month break from Ultraman, and it's not just like, you know, watching the same thing over and over. But
don't worry, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more where that came from. But no, I appreciated the different approach they try to take with this movie, and I'll be kind to it. I'll give it I think like a B-. So yeah, good week for Ultraman.
Yeah.
But let's get to the meat of the podcast, Andrew.
The heart of it.
The heart of the podcast. What did we do last weekend?
We went to none other than G-Fest.
That's right, our first G-Fest. So I guess we can kind of recount our trip a little bit. So overall, I think we both agree we had a really good time.
Yeah.
We'll probably, barring any kind of setbacks, we'll try to go next year again. So Thursday, actually, I think, I mean, I had a great time at the actual convention, but I think Thursday was probably my favorite day. We flew in early in the morning, dropped our bags off at the hotel, and then this is for our first time ever been to Chicago. So we took the train into the city. We went and walked around Millennium Park and saw the Bean and all the stuff that Millennium Park has in the park that's right over the bridge or whatever. And then we walked down to Willis Tower and looked up at Willis Tower and did that. Didn't go in Willis Tower. We didn't buy tickets for that. But we walked a lot of the streets of Chicago. We walked around that Block 37 Mall or whatever it is for a while because the train station was in there. And so I had fun with that. And then I think honestly, probably my favorite part of the trip was that evening when we went to the Pickwick Theater.
Oh yeah,
they did have a double feature earlier in the day of I think War of the Gargantuas and Frankenstein Conquers the World. But like I said, we wanted to go into Chicago since we've never been before, so we skipped that. But we did go to the 7:00 double feature of Godzilla vs. Destroya.
and it was packed.
And Terror of Mechagodzilla. Yeah, it was a 900-seat auditorium. I bet they sold all of 850 seats of it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially that first movie. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The first time I'd seen a Japanese, I mean, they've done some, Fathom event, showing the Godzilla movies. But this is the first time we saw it with like a really lively audience and
a dedicated Godzilla fans.
A fan audience. And, these people cheered for literally everything, and especially like when Godzilla came on screen, when the theme played, when old actors were shown. I mean, when Destroyer showed up every time. And
people.
They would clap along to the beat of Fukabe's themes and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing
Were they
that.
exactly on beat? No.
And we're not always on beat with the claps. That's hard. But that was a lot of fun. And just the Pickwick Theater itself was really neat. I didn't realize it before we went, but it's actually a recognized historical site built in 1928, a very old school theater, which was very neat. Unfortunately, the bathroom was very old school too. Had like 2 stalls for a 900-seat auditorium.
Yeah, and it was a very long line.
There was a line at the bathroom all the time, but actually the concessions then was very affordable. I mean,
and they got you in and out of that concession.
They moved fast. They got you in and out. But no, I had a great time, and they had like the the elevated painted ceilings and stuff like that. And
I bet they have a lot of practice though with a lot of events there.
I do a lot of the convention, stuff like that, convention related events and stuff. But so yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then the second showing, the Terror of Mechagodzilla, was fun too. And it was good to see like the audience of Godzilla fans like laughing along with the movie when they knew it was ridiculous. Like, I think there's kind of a perception among some people out there that Godzilla fans just like take these old movies way too serious. But no, I mean, the audience laughed along when the movie was ridiculous, and it was a lot of fun. So honestly, like I said, that was probably my favorite. But no, let's get to the actual convention. So Friday night, the Pickwick showed more movies. I think on Friday night they showed like Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, and Saturday night they showed King of the Monsters. But they were like 10:30 showings, and I was like, I need my rest to recharge for the convention between each day. But Friday, so we go to the convention. We were staying in the Crown Plaza, not the Hyatt. So, we had to walk down to the convention center every day. But we got there, about 9 o'clock when the doors opened. The line was already super long for to pick up your badges.
Yeah. You had to actually search your way through the place to get to the end.
It was so confusing because there was several lines going, but we're all curling around through the lobby, but we found our line.
We asked around and they're like, this is the line.
Yeah, I think this is a good sign too, but we heard some people around us saying like, at Friday o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning last year, there was like hardly anybody there picking up badges. And I don't think they were quite prepared for the sheer number of people that were going to be showing up as the doors opened on Friday morning.
Yeah.
And I think they were, I think they would even admit maybe a bit understaffed, a bit underprepared, but and you could tell they looked a bit frazzled at the counter, but
there was a lot of things that were half finished.
Yeah, they didn't have everything quite set up. Like they didn't have all the
art displays
and the signs marking all the door, the different rooms and stuff finished.
Yeah.
But no, we stood in line for about an hour, I think, to get our passes. Which, you know, that's all good because that shows that the fandom's alive and well and really
Yeah.
healthy. I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure this probably was their highest attended G Fest they've probably had. But yeah, so once we got our passes, you know, we did a lot of wandering around aimlessly that first day, just trying to figure out where everything was and how busy everything was going to be. And what did we do on that first day, Andrew? We did go through the artist gallery and look around. I think that was maybe to be the first thing we did.
Yeah, we went to the artist gallery, and then we went to
we went in the arcade room.
Yeah.
Where the pinball machines and the old arcade
the
games
pinball
were.
room.
And you know, they didn't have, I mean, they just had like a handful and only about half of them I think were working. But
almost all the
arcades games were working. I think at least as far as I could figure out how to work it, only one of the pinball machines was working. But,
yeah.
But it is still cool to see those old games. And then I think we stood in line. We got in line for the dealer's room, and we stood in line for again about an hour for the dealer's room.
More like an hour and a half.
That was, I think, all weekend the most popular attraction was the dealer's room.
Yeah, if you wanted to get it, you had to go late in the day.
Yeah, and Sunday the line finally they quit like holding a line and just let you like go in and out because they slowed down enough.
Yeah.
But the dealer's room was really neat. Now, I was hoping to get some really good deals. I think if anything, most of the dealers were upcharging their products. Like T-shirts were like $25 to $30.
To be fair, though, they make that all themselves, and you know that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of the dealers like are handmade stuff, and they had a lot of models there. Like were really they sold a lot of Bandai toys, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of custom models there. One of the Godzillas was like $5,000 for like this 3-foot.
Custom model.
Custom model. They did not sell it. I heard the guy the last day after one, he's like, I guess this guy's going to San Diego. But no, the model room was crazy. The dealer's room was crazy packed, but it was a lot of fun just walking around.
Oh yeah.
We restrained ourselves pretty well.
I
think less worried about money, but how we were going to get it home in our luggage. But
yeah,
we bought some T-shirts, and I bought the whole pack of like the 6-issue Marvel comic crossover, which I'll talk about here in a little bit too.
Yeah. I bought some old Godzilla VHS tapes.
You bought some VHS tapes. You're on a VHS kick right now. You bought it like a keychain thing, and
yeah,
I bought like a poster that I still got rolled up somewhere. But you know, we bought some knickknacks. There was like a Godzilla tissue dispenser I really wanted, but it was $150, and I was like, no, I'm not spending that. But I thought one thing that was kind of weird to me was like the Ultraman card game they really pushed at this convention.
To be fair, Subaraya,
because they did the Subaraya had the Ultraman Hero World Premiere thing there, which had its own room dedicated, and they had a whole new other room just dedicated to the card game.
Subaraya donated some money to this cause.
I don't know if they donated money, but they definitely like brought their product and pushed it. And I would have thought for sure that they would have pushed that Godzilla card game hard because they're releasing it about this time. And what better way to like advertise it than at Godzilla Fest?
Fair, it's probably very hard to get a hold of.
It is kind of expensive to get some of the I would have thought that someone in the dealer's room, and maybe they were selling them, they just sold out before we got to it.
Probably.
But I didn't see anyone in the dealer's room selling the Godzilla card game.
I bet it was hard.
I didn't see them having it set up at any point in the tabletop game room.
I think it's probably too new to get it into the...
Probably, yeah.
Because, it wasn't released until G-Fest, basically.
Into July, yeah.
So it was probably too late in the... So to next year.
Next year, maybe. But, and then the rest of, the rest of the day, Friday, what did we do? I think we went to the film festival room for a little bit. Was that the day we watched the Ishiro Honda documentary? Or was that the next? I think that might have been the next day.
The next day, I think.
We went and walked around the little G-Fest, like the history G-Fest room, and what little bit they had set up in the display room for like the little art display room, and
that anybody can come and get their stuff. They hadn't had anybody, register their stuff
yet. We saw some cosplayers walking around, took some pictures of them and stuff. Was it Friday that I took a picture with Ultraman, or was that Saturday? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But at the Ultraman Hero premiere, they would have like the suit actors come out in the full suit, And I think that was Friday. And I trusted Andrew. Andrew refused to take a picture with any suit actors. But I took a picture with Ultraman. Andrew, of course, took a terrible picture. Didn't zoom in or anything, but that's okay. I was going to get an autograph from, I always blank on her name, but the woman that played Fuji. She wanted $50 for an autograph, and I was already running low on cash. And I was like, maybe not. Maybe I'll come back. I never did get it. Well, we didn't even go to the main autograph room, which is one of my kind of regrets. But so we did that Friday. Then we went back to the hotel and we ate dinner, whatever. Saturday, we went back. What did we do Saturday? We watched that Ishiro Honda documentary in the film festival room.
We watched a few things.
We watched a few little shorts and stuff. We sat in on some panels. I think we sat on the, that was at the day we sat on the Ben Furuya panel and listened to that. That was very interesting.
And we sit in on where they were talking about the old kaiju and stuff films.
Yeah, and there was one they were talking about like direct-to-video kaiju films and stuff, and we sat in on that. That was a lot of fun. We went back to the dealer's room, of course. We, we just walked around.
And, we went to the art gallery a few times.
And we went back to the art gallery again and saw that again. And
we went downstairs.
Downstairs, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And then Sunday again, we went and sat in on some panels. We listened to I'm terrible with names, but the guy that played Chujo in Tokyo SOS, he was also the Red Ranger in one of those Super Sentai shows. Sat in on his panel. Nobuhiko, yeah. And sat in on his panel. We sat in on a panel celebrating the 40th anniversary of Godzilla 1985.
They had some interesting. They had a cool little thing with that.
Yeah, so interesting tidbits, and I think I decided that for like last year for Godzilla's birthday, we celebrated by reviewing the Raymond Burr cut of King of the Monsters. I think this year we'll celebrate by us reviewing the Raymond Burr cut of Godzilla 1985.
We have on VHS.
Which I have on VHS.
Which I have a VCR now.
Yeah, Andrew has a VCR now, so we'll do that this November. But set it on that. We set in on a panel about kaiju movies and how they kind of intersect with cosmic horror and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I took a picture with Jiras. They had Jiras come out, the suit actor in him, and Andrew took a better picture.
I took a way better
this time around. We didn't get to see. We were gonna go watch like the because we did Friday. I think one of the things I didn't mention.
We watched
the Belial and Ultraman
Zero
stage fight or whatever. Where they went out on their little stage and did like the fight or whatever. It's kind of funny because the guy playing Zero, like he was supposed to come out and run up on stage and do a cool thing, but he tripped. The guy tripped as he was running on the stage, but he recovered really well. He did like a body roll and popped up. But
and
I wanted to see the Jiros one, but we looked and there was like a huge line, and we were like, never mind. But
it was a long.
But I did go take a picture with him and
outside the
into the Dojo Studios thing. We did walk around Dojo Studios too, and they had some like suits propped up that people had made and stuff, and that was neat.
They had like this exact replicas of some of the old.
Yeah. And then was it Saturday night? I forgot to say we went to the costume contest.
Oh,
which was another thing that was crazy because we got in line pretty early.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a line; it was longer than I thought it was. I didn't realize the line was forming until it was too late. But we actually they filled up the room, all the seats in the room, and then we finally got a standing room only. And then there were still several hundred people. That auditorium probably said like 800 people or something. I tried to count the seats, do some math in my head, but I was pretty bad at it. But
and then they had to, line the people up in a certain order outside so they could.
Yeah, and then they lined up the rest of the people outside, and they made the costumers, like the cosplayers, walk through the line so everybody could see. But that was fun. They had Furuya and Wasaki or whatever, the suit guy, out there on the judging the costumes at least for a little bit.
I think Furuya got tired.
Yeah, I think Furuya probably got tired, but and they had the suit actor that played or did the mocap for 98 up there too.
To be fair, I think he had other things going on in the convention.
Yeah, there's
he
a lot of
went
things
everywhere in that convention.
Yeah, he did a lot in the convention, and then but no, that was about an hour. I mean, first of all, we saw the awards ceremony was first, and they handed out kind of emotional. They handed out the Skyscraper Award, and they gave one to JD Lees for running the convention all these years. They gave a posthumous lifetime achievement award to I just blanked on his name. I'm terrible at remembering names, recalling names when I need them. But the guy that did the visual effects for like the Heisei era movies. His daughter was there to accept it.
Oh yeah.
And that was neat. And then they gave out some other skyscraper awards and stuff. They gave out some awards to some of the like G-Fest people that worked on G-Fest and stuff. And
For a long time.
yeah, and then the costume contest was really neat. I mean, we weren't in the best angle like to take pictures because we were like off to the side, standing room only, like I said. But
Yeah.
just seeing the people in their costumes, and
There was some really good.
there was some
costumes.
really good costumes, and that was a lot of fun. And
Somebody made like 11,000 hand cars.
yeah, one of the
Mm-hmm.
good Geeters, they had to cut out like several, like 1,100 like little golden Ghidra scales and glue them on. One of them had like several thousand like Godzilla scales they had to put on. I mean,
It was a suit they redesigned from
Yeah.
last year.
it's a lot of work goes into that kind of stuff, but it's really neat seeing, people's work and their interpretations of the characters and that kind of stuff. And that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that was pretty much all we did at the convention.
And
But
most of those suits they could not see out of very well, and they had people.
yeah, they had
them
people
around.
having to guide them. But yeah, I think that was pretty much our convention experience. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I will say, like, and I had a lot of fun. We got there, like, as soon as they opened every day. I'm very antisocial and have social anxiety and, whatever else. By
Yeah.
about 2 or 3 o'clock every day, I was like, okay, I need a break from all these people. And we would go and do something else. But, and then Monday we finished out our trip. We didn't get till a late flight out, but we had a bit of an experience on the public transit system Monday.
Oh my goodness.
We tried to take the train back into town. We wanted to go to the Lincoln Park Zoo, which I would recommend, by the way. Lincoln Park Zoo, it's free to get in.
Oh yeah, it's a really cool.
And it's a
zoo.
really big, I mean, I've been to a free zoo before, but it was pretty small. This one was a pretty good sized zoo that took us several hours to get around. And, but we got on our
fair.
first train. Sorry, what?
The zoo was very confused. The layout.
The layout was a little confusing. I had a hard time following the maps. Not that I'm a good map reader anyway, but but we got on the first train, and that was fine. And then we went to transfer trains, and we did. And then as soon as the second train started to leave the station, it lost power. And it turns out they had cut the power to the train because someone was trying to jump off the tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
But we sat there for a while, and the conductor was like, come on several times. She's like, this PD has cut power. I don't know when we're going. Anyway, after, I don't know, about half an hour or so, she heard it. She came through the cars, and luckily it was a pretty empty train. And she got us all to the back car. And luckily the back car was still close enough to the station that we could just step off back onto the station. But we had to evacuate a subway train. So that was a different experience. We got the full Chicago experience there.
over here.
And then we were like 2 miles from the zoo at that point. So we just walked it.
Yeah.
So we walked like 10 miles that day or something when it was all said
crazy.
and done. It was we did a lot of walking that day. And then I just like screwed public transportation. We took an Uber back to the
Oh yeah.
airport, even though it cost me like $60, but whatever. But no, but it was a lot of fun. I loved G-Fest. I loved I always love. Sorry, what?
All the people there were nice.
We met some nice people. I mean, I think the longest conversation we had was actually when we were walking. We wanted to go look at the Rosemont. They called it the Rosemont Memorial Park or whatever. It was just literally just a waterfall with Village of Rosemont in front of it.
Yeah.
But we were walking down to it, and we met someone who was walking down to the McDonald's, and we had a really fun conversation. And I got a lot of compliments on my Kaiju World shirt. I think I wore it Saturday. But no, I had a lot of fun. Every time we went to the film festival room and saw those movies, those were a lot of fun.
What was that one we saw? The last one we saw the
feature length one,
the mockumentary thing.
The true story of the gumball disaster or something.
It's
something
based
counting.
off of another movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just like a mockumentary, like newscast thing, and that was kind of fun. And there was one called the Gaze that was like about this guy that got trapped in his
and then there
apartment, and that was
three-part other mini.
Yeah, and then we saw like
series.
these little shorts. There's several little shorts that we watched, but those were all a lot of fun. The dealer's room, anytime we went, that was a lot of fun. Just going around and looking at that stuff, and anytime we saw the art room and the cosplayers, all that was a lot of fun.
And
I
they
will
had
say
the G Fest, remember G Fest room?
yeah, and that was neat, and yeah, all of that. The arcade room even was neat. We never got to play in the video game room because it was always packed.
Always
If
packed.
we'd have went Friday when people were still standing in line for everything, we probably could have. But and the panels were a lot of fun. That was cool, and yeah, it was a good experience. I plan on going back. I do think G Fest might need to graduate to a bigger venue.
The first time we got in the dealer's room, it was like lit all the way past the gaming room.
Yeah, the line was all the way through the hallway to the gaming room and stuff. And not for everything. Like I think a lot of this stuff, the rooms were plenty big, but
Like the dealer's
room probably needs a bigger venue.
That's the biggest venue I think they had.
That was they had it in the
those.
biggest room they had, and it was still always so packed with
Yeah.
the line. That needs a bigger venue. The costume contest they probably need a bigger venue for. Maybe the art gallery needs a bigger room. If they do the Ultraman thing again next year, they need a bigger because they stuck that in a pretty tiny they basically had the Dojo Studios and walled off part of it for
Yeah.
the Ultraman Hero Premiere thing. They need a bigger room for that. So they might need to think. There's that big Donald E. Stevens Convention Center right next to the hotel or whatever. They probably don't need the whole thing, but maybe rent out a part of it. I haven't been inside of it. I don't know what it looks like inside, but they might need to rent out part of it for some of their bigger events or something.
Yeah. But it's always been in the
And they need more programs. They ran out of programs really fast. And I didn't get a program when I picked up the badge. They were probably sitting there and I just didn't realize it. But then when I tried to go back and get a program later, they were like, sorry, we don't have any extra. And I was like, oh, okay. But so I didn't get a program for my first G Fest. That's a little disappointing. But anyway, but no, overall, great experience.
those people at the front counter looked very stressed.
They look pretty frazzled. But yeah, would recommend, and we'll be going back next year, and hopefully next year we can get a hotel room in the Hyatt Regency. So all we have to do is take the elevator down.
Up and you saw a lot of people that's doing up
Just
and
go down to the
down.
elevators. Yeah, if you buy merchandise instead of having to carry it back to your hotel. I did buy a tote bag when it was like $25, but I did buy a tote bag that to carry our stuff around, and it was a G-Fest tote bag, so that was neat. But
So it was a thing in itself.
yeah, we got a G-Fest 30 tote bag, a G-Fest 30 hat, and then I got you ran out of cash G-Fest 30.
Yeah, because the ATM at the
Yeah,
hotel.
I will say if I was the G-Fest organizers, I'd have been a little upset with the hotel because one, the ATMs after the first day in the hotel did not work.
No.
The escalator to the bottom floor, leading down to the bottom floor, quit working the second day and didn't work the rest of the convention. So yeah, if I was the organizers, I would have probably been a little upset with the hotel, but I don't organize it. I don't know how all that relationships
To
work.
be
but-
fair, the hotel is probably like, why is there so many people here?
But I don't think anyone was projecting that many people, especially on that Friday so quickly.
Because you just constantly saw the management of the hotel looking around
Yeah, the guy, the hotel guy that was, I guess, overseeing it, he just kind of running around.
he was he looked all panicky most time. He's like, oh my God.
But they did have the food vendors there. I mean, it was expensive, but
The food vendors only took cards.
they only took cards. The hotel was going. They had signs up saying we're going totally cashless pretty soon. But yeah, overall, good experience. Would recommend. Some other things we need to talk about. I did, as I said, purchase the full 6 issues of the crossover Marvel thing. I've never been a big comic guy. In middle school, I kind of went through a phase of reading a lot of comic books. I've read, when IDW first started publishing their Godzilla comics, I got the first few and read them. I have gone back and read some of the old school 70s Marvel Godzilla comics. That was a while ago, but the 6 issues, I decided I'll read each one over the next 6. Read one over the next 6 weeks, and talk about it. Just like a fun little review thing. This week, the first issue is Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four, and spoiler alert if you haven't read it. But it was fun. I mean, it was basically like Godzilla shows up, the Fantastic Four had to fight him, and they struggle, but they eventually subdue him with some electricity or whatever, and then Ghidorah shows up, and Ghidorah is the new Herald of Galactus. And so they all panic, and Silver Surfer shows up and gives his cosmic power to revive Godzilla, and then Fantastic Four and Godzilla team up to defeat Ghidorah and run him off, and then Godzilla gives his power, the cosmic power, back to Silver Surfer, and wanders off into the sea or whatever. But it was neat just seeing kind of those lores cross over. I really enjoyed like the idea of Ghidorah being the new Herald of Galactus or whatever, and that stuff. That was fun. And it just felt like an old school Fantastic Four comic book, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. So hopefully the rest will be as entertaining. Mm-hmm. And the art was good too. So that's always a positive. But anyway, let's also talk about something else big that happened since we recorded last. This Bloomberg article came out. Now, there's been a lot of buzz about it. I've read a lot of people online being like, some of the stuff they're saying, there's totally rumor mill stuff that's not really supported by anything Toho has stated or any kind of Japanese media outlets have put out. But the big thing I think that people took away was supposedly Toho is considering, the article was basically about, I didn't read it because there was a paywall, but the article was basically about how Toho is pushing Godzilla globally really hard and trying to turn into the next big global, IP. But supposedly the -1 sequel is they're trying to get it released as soon as next year, which I kind of figured. And supposedly they're working on a sequel to Shin Godzilla, which would be very interesting.
Yeah,
there's a lot of ground to cover, to work with that. The way that movie ended, with Godzilla still just kind of temporarily frozen in the middle of Tokyo with like the little humanoid Godzilla things coming out of his tail. So a lot of space to work there if they wanted to do a sequel of that. Now, whether that actually is true or will come to fruition, we'll see.
Yeah. But now they're working on, the
-1 sequels, the focus. And there's also they believe some kind of East Asia project they're working on, Godzilla related, which there was that little video that we watched.
Yeah.
But, so we'll see. We'll see what comes of any of that. I did get the first booster pack of Godzilla, the Godzilla card game in the mail. I bought the Heisei starter pack. Andrew, I think, is working on purchasing a starter pack so that we can play each other in it. It's, it looks like your pretty typical like trading card game type of deal, similar to the Ultraman card game. We did start watching Ultraman Omega. It has premiered. We've seen the first 3 episodes. I like it so far. It's different. Of course, we'll do a recap episode when it concludes. But it looks like instead of doing like the whole team thing or family thing, they're going to focus on just 3 kind of characters that have just been kind of forced together through fate. One of them is the guy who turns into Omega, and then this guy that works at the warehouse, and then this scientist chick. But I'm interested to see where it goes. I like the Omega design, pretty unique. The color scheme is anyway. And the guy's got amnesia. He doesn't remember why or how he is or what his purpose is or anything. But that's I would recommend checking out the first 3 episodes. They don't have a dub, I don't think of it. They're not simulcasting the dub like they did with the last show. Only sub that I've seen so far. But so check that out. And then I did read where Godzilla will have a panel at Comic-Con this year. I don't know if they're going to announce any new things, but they're going to, just kind of celebrate Godzilla and the 70th anniversary, which was actually last year and all that. But so, if you're going to Comic-Con, you can check that out. We probably won't be, but anyway, we've rambled on for a while.
Yeah.
We've got, what do we got coming up, Andrews?
Are we doing Ultraman this next
No,
week?
hold on just a second.
Probably not a good movie, honestly.
Let me pull the schedule real quick. We've got, is it Reigo? Which one's coming next?
Oh, I like those.
So next week will be Reigo, King of the Sea Monsters. And then will be Ultraman Taiga, the movie. Then Reiga, God of the Monsters. Then Ultraman Trigger, the movie. Then God Reiga versus King Oga, War of the Monsters. Then Ultraman Decker finale, Journey to Beyond. And then I went in and tried to fill out some of our schedule for the remainder of the year. It's pretty slim pickings, guys. I was Googling like rare kaiju movies, rare monster movies, and I'd pull up the list and I'd be like, reviewed it, got it on the schedule, reviewed it. So here's what I've got for the rest of the year. And this is not the whole year. I've got some blank weeks, but The Whale God, which is basically a Japanese retelling of Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
Then I got The Great Buddha Arrival, which is another SRS Cinema release. I think it's more of I think it's like an hour, barely a movie, but we're gonna watch it. Monster Seafood Wars, which is an SRS Cinema release, which I have watched before, but apparently we haven't reviewed it.
No.
And then we're gonna do a movie I found called. It's kind of, I don't know if it's really a kaiju movie. It's more of a man-sized monster, but a movie called The Calamari Wrestler. It's kind of a parody movie about this man who gets turned into a human-sized squid, but he's a professional wrestler, and he has to wrestle as a human-sized squid.
Oh my goodness.
I found it, and we're gonna watch it. And then we're gonna do, God help us, the alligator movies, Alligator and Alligator 2, which more creature feature territory, but gotta do what you gotta do. Then we're gonna watch Jason and the Argonauts. We've done Ray Harryhausen before with Clash of the Titans, and we're gonna go back to Ray Harryhausen with that. And then I have a blank week. Then Godzilla 1985 for the week of Godzilla's birthday. And we're gonna go back to Harryhausen with the Sinbad trilogy. I didn't realize it was a trilogy until I googled it, but we're gonna do the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and then Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. And then I got a few blank weeks, and then for the week of Christmas, or the week following Christmas, the last week of episode of the year, supposedly the Anaconda movie's coming out on Christmas. The reboot, retelling,
Whatever.
Paul Rudd, Jack Black thing, and we'll review that.
It's gonna be great, Aaron.
It's gonna be something. And so that's kind of what I got planned for the rest of the year. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we got coming up. I have been, and I don't know if I haven't made any final decisions. I haven't made hard plans or anything. I've been thinking about a soft reboot, rebranding, relaunch of the podcast, kind of expanding our
Horizons.
I've always, I've always wanted to do a horror movie podcast. Me and Dylan and you tried very briefly to get one off the ground. I've been thinking about turning this into a kind of kaiju and J-horror podcast. And
Sounds good.
I've been doing some thinking on it. I've been thinking about title. I've got a pretty good title in mind. I won't give it away in case someone wants to steal it. Some logos. I've been thinking about it. I think we're gonna finish out this year as just a kaiju kaiju / creature feature podcast, and we're gonna think about it for next year because we're running out of giant monster movies.
I text telling me we're gonna go to an asylum and stuff movies.
I don't want to get into. I mean, I want to review movies that I think that are either. I mean, we've done a lot of terrible movies, but I just don't want to get into just reviewing asylum movies week after week because at that point I will lose my passion for this podcast and not want to. Sci-fi originals, asylum movies.
You don't want to review Atlantic Rim?
No, I just don't think I can. I just don't think I can do that week after
Or
week.
Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark?
We probably will eventually do the Jaws franchise, even though that's more creature feature. We might do some Jaws ripoffs. We watched Orca the other day. We might. Even though that's not giant, it's just literally a killer whale. We might do some movies like that.
Very smart.
We might get into some more creature feature kind of stuff. Some more dinosaur movies. There's some dinosaur movies I'd like to cover. Not all of them, but some. I will draw the line somewhere. But yeah, there's some plans in the works for this podcast. Yeah. And of course, there's always new stuff coming out, new Ultraman stuff coming out. There's obviously a new Japanese and a new Hollywood Godzilla movie in production as we speak. I'm sure there's more stuff unannounced coming out. So, yeah, I mean, we got a bright future on this podcast, plenty of content. Maybe we'll expand into J-horror because that'll give us plenty of content to talk about and, expand our horizons as film buffs. And I think that would be a lot of fun. And maybe change up the format of the podcast a little bit. Maybe get away from like the recounting the plot stuff and doing all that. But anyway, we've rambled on for a long time. So I think it's about time for us to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Don't forget that you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
You can find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. I have updated the website more or less with all of our recent movies and schedule and stuff. And you can also find us on Facebook. I need to be more active on Facebook, but I usually still do post about our new episode every week.
Once a week.
But always feel free to engage with us on there. And next week is Reigo, King of the Sea Monsters, I think is what it's called. So check that out and watch it and prepare for our review next week. But other than that, I am Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.